Sports Show. Time to talk a bit more SANFL. We love the SANFL, we know that, but we're very lucky to be joined by the head coach of Norwood, Jade Rawlings.
He just gave me a 1-2 too, by the way.
He did.
He just gave me a quick 1-2.
And I'm not happy about it.
Straight into...
Let me get one thing straight before we get Jade in here. There's a lot of clubs around the place that say that they are Port Adelaide's biggest rival.
Yeah.
There are a lot of clubs around there. No, they're not. No. This mob are. And Norwood are. No doubts in the world, but Jade was just talking about... Jade, first of all, welcome to the SA Sports Show, mate.
Thanks, fellas.
Great to have you in. But don't talk about Norwood coming from fifth and knocking Port off in finals. That's not a way to get on the sports show. Yeah. But, mate, welcome. You are in good touch. You are in good nick. But just can we follow on from what you were talking to Ando about? You play that footage or vision to the club? Is that what you were saying?
So I believe in the history of footy clubs. I'm really passionate about it. That's why I was brought up, and everywhere I've gone, I've always liked to be part of what the history is and then try and contribute to legacy moving forward. And being an outsider, not from South Australia, I think it's important to identify with the history. Yeah. And the Norwood Port Adelaide rivalry was made abundantly clear to me very early once I arrived in South Australia. And I was saying to Greg that when we play Port, we have a responsibility to fulfil our end of the bargain with the rivalry, and we showed the players' vision of Greg and I think one of you, Steve Curtis, it might have been.
Yeah, Steve Curtis.
Yeah, and Neville Roberts and Michael Aish reflecting on that grand final, and certainly wasn't rub it in, but it was just to give context of it's important our people current know what's happened in the past, because our supporters still are very clear on what happened in those times over the years, and we've got a lot of guys that are from interstate that don't quite have the awareness of SANFL and certainly the history of Norwood, so it's up to us to educate them.
I mean, a wonderful player yourself. I mean, I was speaking to Paul Savin earlier. I know he's one of your teammates for nearly, probably when he joined the club at Hawthorn. I think you were there for 10 years. He was there for sort of 5 years. But from Devonport. So that's a big, it would have been exciting to go from Devonport, Tasmania, over to Hawthorn Footy Club.
Yeah, I was a devout Hawthorn supporter, so to think I would ever be in the AFL was just a pipe dream. It just wasn't real. In Tassie, there's some restrictions of what you think you can do, and playing first grade cricket for Devonport and senior footy for Devonport was all my charter. Was all I wanted to do, and my life got spun on its head pretty quickly. And ended up in Melbourne in November '94 when I just turned 17. And Fish arrived in 1996 and got to play with him for 5 years. He had a major impact on our footy club to turn the century.
I want to talk about your coaching, but before we do that, your last game you played for North Melbourne then against Hawthorn, the team you barracked for, but in Tasmania.
Yeah.
Wow, what a way to finish your career.
Yeah, it was interesting, Ando, because the first premiership points played in Tasmania was against Adelaide Crows in 2001. And that was a big deal, being from Tassie and being a Hawthorn player. And then Hawthorn's been able to forge a relationship down for 20-odd years. But I actually, in a weird way, don't ask me why, I didn't really feel at the time I wanted to play in Tassie. I don't know why, whether it was because I only played 1 year at North. I had 3 games, so I didn't have much skin in the game, and having a retirement game, when I look back, was it appropriate for me? Probably not, but in the end it was against Hawthorn in Tassie. We lost. Alistair Clarkson was the coach, and he and the playing group showed me great respect as I left the ground, and I'll never forget that.
And your family as well.
You know what it's like, and it's something people don't understand, opportunities and memories they create, what it does to you as an individual. And I don't often get
I love that story.
reflection of playing career, but that's my reflection of that last game, and it actually worked out okay.
Brilliant.
What people don't understand is a 17-year-old, 18-year-old from Tasmania going to Melbourne to play footy. That's such a big step for a kid.
It's enormous, and AFL clubs, and Greg would know, weren't equipped to manage the welfare of people my age at that time. And I often say the best thing that happened to me was move away at 17. The lessons you learned and resilience you develop. There's only one person who's going to get stuff done, and it's you. So that was hard, but equally it was in part having resilience. It was the making of me, because I wasn't mentally ready. I was physically underdeveloped. I wasn't ready to fend for myself. So for the next 3 to 4 years, I had to find a way if I wanted to make it. And it paid for itself in the end, because I know I can share experiences. Like with Baden Lowe, who plays for us at the moment, 18-year-old from Tassie, never lived away from home. Mum, Dad do everything for him, but he's had the courage to move his life over here and learn a new way. And I've got a lot of respect for those guys.
How many games, mate, did it take you to think, well, okay, I probably belong here? Because I reckon that's got to be the toughest part. The toughest part is knowing that you can play a little bit, But this is a big league. This is a massive league.
I was 25 games, but that was off the back of 60 VFL games or AFL reserves.
Yeah.
So I cut my teeth learning to play at the AFL reserves level, which was still a very strong level. The lists were 52 back then.
Right.
Yeah, that's
I remember
right,
playing against Mark Harvey one day in my third year. So I was 82 kilos playing on Mark Harvey, who was an aggressive beast and a bit angry at the end of his career, but great shaping, learning experience for me. So I was ready. After 25 games, I felt I belonged, but that was because it was 5 years in the system. If you played 25 over two, I don't think I'd be as ready.
Wow, that's amazing, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's a long
So you
time.
learn it really
well,
4 or 5 years, really get your feet, you cut your teeth sort of scenario.
I was underdeveloped, and it was a Hawthorn model as well. Like, there was no shame in playing reserves footy.
No.
But Luke Bruce played his 250th the other day. If people track his career back, he played at Box Hill for a long time. I think he might have played Box Hill reserves at times. So there's no manuscript of how you develop them. You get there if you're good enough and when you're ready.
Yeah.
And your coaching, I mean, you're assistant coach of Richmond, and then of coaching the senior side at the Cove Tigers. And then halfway during the last season of Terry Wallace, you stepped into as the coach, and you've won your first game as head coach of the Richmond Footy Club for the rest of the season.
Yeah, it was a life changer and a head spinner. I was 31, I think, when I was coaching Coburg, and Craig Cameron was the head of footy at the time, and he gave me a call saying there's a chance that you could be considered to be the caretaker with Terry's situation. And it was challenging because I got on really well with Terry, and he gave me my first go as an assistant coach. So it was a very awkward situation that you could sort of feel it was going that way. But I certainly hope he never felt like I was jumping his grave, because it wasn't my decision. But I got 11 games to coach AFL footy, and when you're doing it, you believe that you're ready to go and ready to do it. I wasn't. I think I did an okay job, but I was in the contention.
Very good job,
It was contention for full time, but I wasn't ready. I wasn't ready emotionally. I didn't know myself well enough. I didn't know the game well enough. I didn't know the business of footy. I thought I could coach, but I don't reckon I could educate. So those are my reflections of that period of time, which was, 13 years ago. So there's been a lot of experiences since then that you feel as though you're better prepared to coach where I am at the moment.
Just about to say that. Great grounding for what you're doing right now. What you've done, what we've just talked about.
Yeah.
Great grounding for exactly what you're doing now. That's coaching a very strong, I might add, SANFL club.
Yeah, it's a really good comment, Baz, because I think people think they can coach, and if they've come out of the AFL, I'll just go to the SANFL. It is not just go to the SANFL. This is a big job. And Nathan Grimer is a good friend of mine who coached Sturt for a couple of years, and I was on the phone with him this morning about a particular topic, and he spoke about his reflection of his time at Sturt, and he used some language around probably a bit immature, didn't know how to manage this or do that, because you're a young, inexperienced coach, where I was lucky I had 13, 14 years of varying levels of coaching to be able to do a job like this and understand what comes with it.
Were you pleasantly surprised of the SANFL? I mean, because after Richmond, you went up and be an assistant coach to Vossi in Brisbane, and back to Melbourne with Simon Goodwin, and then to Norwood. Me and Baz knows, wow, you've just taken a great job, in a great competition. Did you feel that way yourself?
Yeah, I knew it would be strong.
Yep.
It's bigger and stronger than I thought it would be. So
It's bigger than you thought it would be.
Yeah,
wow.
absolutely. Because when you're in a state, you're aware of the SANFL, and any player I've rubbed shoulders with in my time is from SA and one of the clubs. Yeah. The passion they speak about for their club. I remember Melbourne, Dean Turlick and Alex Giorgio came to Melbourne, and I listened to them talk about Norwood, and there's reverence, like they loved it, and Nathan Bassett coached them in a way they really believed in, and I can only imagine the way you would talk about Port Magpies and what it did for your career before you go to Essendon, and so I just love the tribalism. So you go to a certain ground and you feel it as soon as you walk in, like the history, the supporters, and people care about the results.
Yeah,
When I was in the VFL, which was terrific, a couple of experiences, we didn't have a supporter base when I coached Casey Demons. We didn't have people who followed us. So it's a different experience where it matters to people over here, and it's a big deal.
Oh, no question.
Now, mate, just finally, very quickly, you got a big one on the weekend. Now, on Friday night?
Yeah, Friday night. Yep, you beauty.
At the parade.
The Tigers.
Always good at the parade Friday night.
Yeah. You must be loving it. I mean, how good is this?
Yeah, it is.
Norwood's good. Probably 5+ there. It's going to be fantastic.
Yeah, it's got all the hallmarks of a really big game. And I'd like to think that both club supporters would see this as an opportunity. We're both 11 and 5, both got a lot to play for.
Exactly right.
We had some really good battles over the last 2 years, and I really respect Glenelg Footy Club. So it's all set up for who will be who's the best team will come out and put themselves in a pretty good position on the ladder for the end of the year. So, yeah, our group's very excited to put our best foot forward against Glenelg this Friday night.
Fantastic.
Thanks for coming in, mate. Really appreciate it.
Block your ears for 1 sec, and also good luck with the finals as well.
We mean that.
We really mean that.
Of course we do, mate. Good luck. Thanks for coming in, Jade. Really appreciate it. There's a big game on the weekend, folks. Friday night, not doing anything, get to the parade. You will see a classic game of footy. Jade Rawlings, head coach of Norwood, was our special guest. Back with more in just a moment.